and welcome to 5-inch Floppy on GameArena.com.au. I'm Junglist, and it's time once again for Dante of the Devil May Cry games to take on armies of demons. Except this time around, development duties have been taken outside of Japan and given to Ninja Theory, a UK-based studio responsible for Enslaved. It's a little worrying. They'll have to prove they have the combat pedigree, and in terms of treatment of the characters, early trailers have shown a departure from the norm. We reviewed DmC and its DLC, Virgil's Downfall, on PC, which is the only version that comes in 1080p with 60 frames per second. There's somewhat of an epidemic of companies not taking care of their franchises. EA's blunder with Command & Conquer comes to mind. And even the hyper-protective Nintendo had a misstep with Metroid Other M, turning one of gaming's better heroines into an emotional submissive. Ain't that right, Samus?
No objections, of course.
DmC looked to be on the same path. The once stylish and admittedly cheesy Dante, never one to flinch, was replaced by some emo hipster combo who thinks even clothes are too mainstream. Oh sure, when he does it, it's alright. When I do it, it's all handcuffs and AVOs. Really? This guy, a demon hunter? He looks more likely to cut himself than any hellish minions. Look at him, smoking a cigarette. Oh, you think you're so cool. Look at him, punching this bouncer. Oh yeah, you're on the list now. I hate bouncers and somehow I still hate Dante even more. Oh, hi, my name's Dante. I used to be into demons back when they were underground. In a franchise all about deep combo systems, this looked to be a game trying so hard to be cool, it forgot about the gameplay. And the most ironic thing about it is even the new hipster Dante would tell you the original was better. Well, right about now is when we throw our hands up in the air and say we know nothing about games, because DmC is fantastic. In DmC, the real world exists alongside Limbo, a parallel playground for demons that thrives on negative emotions. The only way out is to fight the demon who dragged you in, something your companion, as a medium, can help you with.
It's working. You can fight him now.
Limbo gives Ninja Theory an opportunity to flex their artistic muscle. It's more than just visual quality. They've carved out a whole style in which wherever you are, a nightclub, a warehouse, or the street, the actual world is trying to kill you. Missions will play with this two-world system in different ways, such as a level in which Dante is forced to watch a SWAT team close in on his friends while stuck in limbo, and figuring out how to help.
Dante, now!
Luckily, Dante is far from powerless. Aside from your standard sword, the right trigger will activate devilish weapons, which focus on dealing high damage, and the left trigger will activate divine weapons, which focus on area of effect and crowd control. With this easy, instant weapon switching, players can switch weapons mid-combo, either to respond to what's happening around them, or simply to be stylish. Aside from these specializations, it's a fair criticism that most of these weapons actually do the same thing. Each has a launcher, which is the same button, combos are similar across the board, and the whole control system is very streamlined. That can be seen as a good thing. You won't have to master completely new configurations for each weapon, and it gets people into combos with weapon switching a lot quicker. Weapons do have different purposes in the combo system though. These discs, for example, specialize in grouping enemies together. Look at this scattered formation of enemies. The swipes are always going inward until they're all clumped together. Now they're susceptible to, well, I don't know, maybe one of these! Or maybe you want to pull them in close for one of these! Part of the fun here is figuring out these combos for yourself. And because there's not a lot of enemies that can damage you in the air, you're rewarded for creating lengthy air combos. It's a sort of safe zone. The longer your combos are, the longer you'll be up there and the more damage you'll be doing. But the main reward comes from DmC's scoring system, a meter that decides how stylish you were throughout the level. Use only the same attack or take too long and you'll bottom out with a D. But constantly switch weapons and attacks and string together long combos and you'll get the coveted triple S rating. It's a system that rewards players for exploring new combos and playing in a stylish way. True to franchise form, getting hit by anything will drop your meter by a few ranks. And all round, we're quite happy with how Ninja Theory have kept the feel and depth of the Devil May Cry games in their combat system. If you want to perfect your combos, there's a training mode, but it's not as useful as it could be as there's only one enemy. So the Endless Wave mode actually provides better combo practice. These practice modes are purely for perfection though. If your goal is just to get through the game, you're going to have an easy time of it. Shorter levels, not losing anything on a game over, obvious weak points on enemies and bosses, windows for combo connectors that you could drive a truck through, and hints that tell you which combos to do against which demons. Trust us on this one. If you've ever played a Devil May Cry game before, you're gonna want to bump this up to hard setting on your first go. Even after that, it will be easy and you'll be getting S ratings left, right, and center. But after that, you unlock a remixed mode with new formations of enemies. Basic demons will block now, and many more enemies will go into a rage mode where it's harder to knock them into combos. This remixed setting is where the challenge is at, and we feel they've looked after the veterans here. It's far from being dumbed down. That same love is seen in Ninja Theory's treatment of their characters.
Mundus has power almost beyond limit, but he has one weakness.
He has a weakness?
As much as we've complained about Dante, he's much less of a wanker in the context of the full game. Not to mention the main baddie is quite well done, and we absolutely love their treatment of Virgil.
All war is fought with deception, and you have been deceived. Your past has been hidden from you for a reason.
Rewind a bit, who are you again?
My name is Virgil.
Which brings us to the DLC, which takes place after the main story, so without getting into any spoilers, let's just say this is a story about your brother Nephilim on a journey to contend with demons, external and otherwise.
Power. I need more power.
Virgil eschews other weapons and does lighter AoE attacks as well as heavier attacks with his favored katana. Instead of using a hook to grab enemies and objects, he teleports them with summoned swords. His dash is a little less responsive than Dante's, so you have less time to react, but when you get the dashing and teleporting down, he can zip around the place capably. Air comboing is a little harder in the DLC, as there are more airbound enemies that can interrupt you, and mostly it borrows from level design in the main game. Virgil is not as fun to control as Dante mechanically, but he looks amazing and is still a lot of fun, especially when he goes Super Saiyan and can duplicate himself mid-combat. No small amount of sick business. All round, being Ninja Theory, they just couldn't help themselves from injecting proper storytelling with believable motivations and even managed to twist this far-fetched premise towards social commentary.
Soon I will own everything worth owning. I will control the world through debt. I have absolute power.
We did think the camera could be a little higher up off the ground, as sometimes it's hard to see what the enemies are up to, such as in this situation where Dante blocks your vision of the incoming ice attack. However, the audio cues that enemies give are quite good, so you'll at least know when you need to evade an attack. And that brings us to Endgame. It must be hard to do an origin story right, but Ninja Theory have scored a home run here. Enemies and the world around you are crafted with genuine creativity. Our favorite characters are treated with respect. And the combat system more than caters for veteran Devil May Cry players. We were a little worried the new DmC might not live up to its AAA status. What we got was Triple S.